Wednesday night, so listen up, because it's time for Gay Guy Straight Girl, where candid advice about love and life meet our hilarious, straightforward personality at www.gayguystraightgirl.com.
All right, thank you for tuning in. And guess what? It is Wednesday night, and you are listening to Gay Guy Straight Girl. Of course, I am your host, Mr. JoJo, and to my left is my lovely host,
Danny DIB.
All right, so anyways, how's your week been going?
I had a great week. I had family over.
That's right, from New York.
I'm peeling, so I'm good.
I know, I am peeling too. The beach, I love it, but when I come back, I either look like a lobster or just look the same with all peeling skin all over the place.
And it's on my face.
I know.
It's okay. It's worth it.
It is worth it. Any special shout-outs you want to give out today?
To me? Well, my family, who were just here. I miss them so much already. And my friends here in Tampa, my family, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I definitely do got some special shout outs. I know I have Sue, who should be listening today. I have a few other people who I know are listening today. I have Julie, who told me she's listening today. And I have a special shout out for my friends outside who are supporting us directly from the studio. Awesome. What's up,
Thanks,
guys?
for being
Thank
here.
you, guys. All right. So, I know we have an interesting topic today.
Yes.
I know it is so interesting. Why don't you go ahead and tell the people what we're going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about fetishes.
Fetishes.
Yes.
That's great. Well, everyone has a fetish in a way. There, whether you want to admit it or not, we all have one. It's just a matter of maybe finding out what that fetish is. But, just to kind of know, for those who don't know what a fetish, just in case you want to act like you don't have one,
right.
To me, or in the dictionary, actually, it's a strong and unusual need or desire for something. It's something like you just need to do, not even do, it's something you just feel the need to be fulfilled with. Right.
And it's a desirable thing that you can't go without, or you feel like you can't.
Exactly. Like you just have to do, and with fetishes, it can be an object, it can be a body part, it can be an activity. It can be a bunch of things.
It's an activity.
Exactly. For a lot of people, it's an activity. For a lot of people, it's also an object. Like people fetish on something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and it's really funny because while I was looking at it, it put in there that it had to, a fetish it's believed to have some magical powers. Now, whether I believe that or not, I'm not too sure. Do you feel like they have that magical power?
No, I don't think so. Well, someone who has a fetish probably believes so, but I think it's more like it's something that has control over you.
Right.
And that's why it feels like it's a magical
power.
Right.
That's the whole thing. Because, with fetishes, looking them up, I know there's different fetishes. Again, we talked about objects. People fetish or look upon on certain things. I know someone who has a fetish. I'm eating bacon. You know what I mean? And they eat bacon with everything. But then there's those sexual fetishes where...
Well, then that's when you start to define, is it a fetish or is it a compulsion? Is it like, which way does it go?
Right. Well, you're right. And that's where, maybe that's where that borderline is. You know what I mean? Because a compulsive, to me, something that it's like OCD. You have to do. You have to do this. A fetish is more like you desire it. So you don't necessarily have to do it at that moment, because when someone has OCD,
it kind of just gets you off.
It's kind of just, you might do it in the middle of the night. You might do it in the middle of the day. You might have a fetish at work.
Right.
That's kind of how people take care of it. You know what I mean? But, the thing is with fetishes and all that, it comes, again, there's those different ones. Licking eyeballs. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that was actually the number one when we looked it up. One of the number one fetishes out there is doing that.
I would never lick someone's eyeball.
I don't see the appeal to it myself, but it would be interesting to know someone who does and find out what it is for them. You
know what? I'm going to have to tell you this. If you are listening today and your fetish is licking eyeballs, you have to make sure you give us a call.
Exactly.
813-639-8255. Yes. Guarantee you, if there is a fetish or something going on and it has anything to do with licking an eyeball, you give us a call.
Anything, give us a call.
If you have any fetish
licking eyeballs, we want to know what the appeal to that is.
What is that? Because
we want to understand that.
I don't get it. You know what I mean? And again, we found different fetishes. Like I talked about the foot fetish. That actually happened to be number 4. Now that one I heard of a lot.
Common. You hear
I think that's the most common.
Yeah.
You hear people having foot fetishes, whether it be with shoes, whether it be with
barefooted, or sexual activities that have to deal with the shoe, or combined all together.
Yeah. What's actually really weird, now that I'm even sitting here thinking about it, is I've even seen where people, like when people have fetishes on like women panties. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've seen it in, those kind of movies or something where they just love women panties, whether they want to wear them or they just want to have them.
Right.
But they just love it. And even to the point where I've seen and again, I've seen it in movies or something. I can't say I've met someone with this fetish, but when they smell it, you know what I mean? Like I've seen it where they're like, oh,
it's kind of like
hey,
drugs,
to each its own.
Like it's kind of like that
they
high
need it.
that you get off of.
They feel that sensation off of a fetish, which is, hey, like I said, each its own. What can we do?
What I'm curious to know is, like, when do you talk about it? How many people out there have a fetish,
and
are
say
being
anything.
open about it, or do they just wait till they get to that place with a special someone that they feel super comfortable with?
It's weird because to me with that whole fetish thing, it's like, to me, it depends what it is.
Right.
If I had a foot fetish, I don't think I'd be embarrassed to talk to people about it. It would be smooth. I wouldn't have no issues. I think it would be smooth foot fetish. But licking eyeballs.
I think you're a very open person.
That is very true.
So that it's a lot easier for you to talk
absolutely.
about it.
That can possibly be true. A lot of people, I'm an open book. You know what I mean? You want to talk about it. You want to talk about me. Hey, not talk about me, but I'm just open. You know what I mean? That's the good thing is, judge me or not judge me. Hey, any ordinary person can judge.
And I think that's what it comes down to. If you have a fetish, do you feel ashamed of it?
Right.
Do you feel like you can't talk about it, like it's too taboo? Or do you don't care, but you just don't want to be judged by others, so you don't talk about it?
The whole judging thing is a big thing. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people out there that judge. You know what I mean? There's so many people out there that criticize and critique and are so judgmental that that's what kind of holds people from moving on. That's what kind of holds people from not necessarily expressing themselves because of the whole judgmental world. But I mean, to me, eventually, if you're comfortable enough with yourself, I feel you should be comfortable enough with expressing yourself as well.
Or at least with your closest friends and people who you trust. And hopefully there's a lot more people out there that you do have that comfortable atmosphere that you could be open
that
and
you can
honest
share
with
because and that's the thing, even if to me, even if it's just one person, at least you can share with that one person. You know what I mean? Because hey, like with you, I know I can share anything with you and you're not judgmental. Exactly. I can sit there and say, yeah, I like licking dogs' eyeballs and that's my fetish. You know what I mean?
Chose a dog.
You know what I mean? I just I love my dogs, that's why, and I would never lick their eyeballs. But you know what I mean? Like that's the thing, you just kind of want to have that you want to have that maybe even one person that you want to share and communicate that fetish with. Now kind of even bring it up to you. Is there any fetishes, Miss Danny B.I.B.
I was just about to ask you that.
I beat you.
I was just about to ask you that. And honestly, I was thinking about this, and as I researched this, and I was asking other people, because I want people to call in and talk about their fetish.
Right.
And they're like, well, what's your fetish? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm just a kinky little
I just
bitch.
like a lot of things. Honestly, that's true, because even when I was thinking about fetishes, when we spoke about the topic, I'm like, is there really something that I truly desire, that I truly need,
I don't know.
that I want to do? And I'm like, maybe sleep. I don't know. Like, do I have a fetish with sleep?
I would say you have a fetish with sleep. Even though that's not a fetish.
And it's so funny, but my friends, I can honestly say that I can have plans with my friends. We're supposed to be going out, and all of a sudden, I'm knocked out sleeping.
Yeah, if he disappears for a day, he was sleeping.
I'm sleeping,
it's
honestly.
Nothing against you, people
nothing
who
against
are
you.
Looking to make plans with him. He just fell asleep.
I just fell asleep. I love all my fans. I love all my friends. I love all my family. But if there's ever a time when I plan something with you, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, guys, it just doesn't work out sometimes, guaranteed I'm sleeping. Like, literally, now that's one thing. I do not mind sleeping.
Yeah.
I do not mind sleeping.
I don't think that's really
but yeah, no, that's not really a fetish. That's just more of, I'm just can be lazy
maybe
sometimes.
You have like a combination of different things that people take to extremes, and you like them all, but these people, like, there are certain people that just take it to that extreme, where it's all the time, that's their outlet, that's what fulfills them the most. So you're not necessarily have a fetish, but you have fetishes.
Now, even like when I even mentioned with the clothing, you know what I mean? And this one I've known, there's like guys out there who love women underwears, you know what I mean? Right. Panty bras, and love to wear them. And they consider them straight.
Smell them.
You know what I mean? It's like
decorate with them.
That's just, sometimes I've heard it too, even sometimes they have it under their clothing, which is a little weird. But hey, like I said, each his own. We can't judge. Right. You know what I mean? Right. We're all open-minded. But, you know what I mean? When can a fetish become too much, in your opinion? Right. Like, and is there such thing as a fetish being too much? Because, something too much to me can necessarily not be too much to you.
I think anything in high extreme is never positive.
Right. Because anything too much.
Right. Anything that's too much starts to take over. Right. It goes into that dark side.
Right. Right.
So if you like you said, to each his own, but
Absolutely.
like have a little bit of control. Don't lose sight of who you are as a person and what you bring to other people.
And that's the thing. It's like, hey, it kind of goes along with, even I remember, with work, you know what I mean? When we're getting prepared for work, if you're questioning your outfit before you go to work, chances are you shouldn't wear it. You know what I mean? Right. If you're really, so that's kind of even fetishes.
Or you're just really picky.
And you know what? Even like I'm coming on to that conversation. Do you think people can control their fetish? Like, and I'm just thinking about that now because, again, some people's fetishes are to the extent of OCD. You know what I mean? Where they need it, they want it, and they have to do it.
Right.
And this was something that I would be interested in even knowing and asking someone who has a really deep fetish. Like, is it something you can control? Right. Is it something you actually can grasp? Or sometimes is it to the point that it's just a fetish, you can't control it, and you just have to do it?
I think that's when it becomes fetish /
obsession.
Obsession.
Well, obsession can be part of it.
Just a compulsion, like that OCD behavior to that particular fetish.
Right. And does it come to the point that when you don't want to talk about it, or when you feel, oh my God, they may not want it, is it because you're ashamed? Or is it because you feel like other people would judge you?
And then that's the thing. There are some fetishes out there that's not necessarily something to be ashamed of.
Right.
Most of them tend to be on the sexual side.
Right. A lot of them tend to be on the sexual side.
So there are a lot of people who are very professional, people who go out in their suits and then, work all day, take care of their families, and on the weekend,
that's it. They got a fetish. Interesting one too. It's like, this one. You can say that word for me because I sure enough can't say it. But when they're attracted to amputees,
I will try apotemnophilia.
There you go. And again, that's they love, they love the lady that goes to IHOP.
Amputees. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
IHOP.
She hopped into IHOP. You didn't get it? Sorry, I didn't mean to pull that one out the box. Anyways, you know what I mean? No, but literally, have you ever heard that joke? How's that joke? With that whole lady, you say, how do you get how does a one-legged lady get to a restaurant?
I don't know.
She IHOPs.
Okay. You're so corny.
That's so bad.
That was a bad joke, guys. I'm sorry.
But what about, there's fetishes even to trees. You know what I mean? Like, people have that fetish to trees. I know we've all seen that movie where, the lady's hugging and kissing a tree and humping a tree and filling on the fetishes. And, hey, like I said, to each its own. But when does it get weird?
I think this one right here that we looked up, and there's a Japanese trend that started out that way that turned into a fetish based on research, and it's to lick doorknobs.
Who licks doorknobs? You know how disgusting that is? Hey, our producer said he licks doorknobs.
We had a raised hand over there.
No, but I automatically grab a napkin before I open the doorknob at work. Exactly. How many people don't? I'm at work. You know how many people don't wash their hands before touching that doorknob?
Exactly. Yeah.
Disgusting. Yeah. I would never even want to lick a doorknob.
There's some fetishes out there that you can't help but judge because they're just not safe.
They're just not.
They're not appealing in any way. You can't see the appeal to it.
Right. So. And then even with the other ones, sexual attraction to stuffed animals. Now, I can see that in dogs, but in a person?
Right.
What are you going to do with a stuffed animal? Maybe they have a little extra supply on that stuffed animal and they make it work wonders.
I wonder where it started from.
Maybe you saw your dog getting all excited. You know what I mean? Maybe you've seen your dog get all happy and you're like, well,
I would love to hear from someone who knows about this or does this themselves.
And you know what? Actually, you know which one is really interesting too? Right. Number 10, when they dress like babies.
You see that a lot.
I see that a lot. Adults, and it would be to the point where they're professional. They have their 9 to 5, they work, and then they go home and put on a diaper. and have an oversized crib for them.
Exactly, they have their sippy
when
cups.
Did that come about? You know what I mean? Like,
their...
that's what I would love to think. I would love to really sit here and not question in the sense that, you know, we're like, but just understand it. You know what I mean? Like, what started these fetishes? Is it something that starts from young? Is it something that, you know, they grow into?
Right.
Even, you know, something interesting I even found with fetishes was pheromone parties. Have you ever heard of the pheromone parties?
No, you kind of started.
It's so interesting. Basically, the way pheromone parties work is you wear a t-shirt, plain white t-shirt, the day before you're invited or you attend a pheromone party. Basically, what it is you sleep with this t-shirt. You do not bathe that night. You put on this t-shirt and you sleep with it. Okay. Then the next day, you wake up, you take off the t-shirt, and you immediately put it inside of a plastic Ziploc bag. All right? You take it to this pheromone party, and now you hand it in to the people who are in charge of the pheromone party. They label the shirt in the bags number 1 through however many people are in this party. Now, what you do as a guest, everyone has a shirt there. You go around and you smell every single shirt in there, and you write down the number that attracts you. If you write down the number that you feel, this person has a good odor, I'll be interested in finding out what this person's about.
Right.
And then what's interesting, at the end of the event, after everybody's done, they'll display really big the picture of the person with their number. So now you can go ahead and write down their name, and that person should be in that party. And you can actually approach that person and say, oh my God, you know, like, you're the person that had this odor that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
That's interesting because
I mean, it is interesting.
you're basing it not on the person's looks, but on the person's pheromone.
That attraction. And I strongly believe in that because I think it could become a
smell
fetish,
is
but
important.
That's really common.
Smell is important.
There are certain smells that remind you of people.
Something, right.
Or just a certain smell, and it could be natural body odor that just really like attracts you. It's sexy
and that's, you know what I mean? Because when I first heard of that, I was like, whoa, weird. But then when I really thought about it, I'm like, I would love to go to a pheromone party, and not necessarily to seek out dates, you know what I mean? But it would just be interesting because I would even go with my partner, you know what I mean? Like, that would be so interesting because to now, don't get me wrong, I would be very cautious about smelling all of the shirts there, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it would just be interesting to kind of experience that, you know, to kind of go through that experience
to see what
and
smell attracts
to see what smell attracts.
Who's on the other end of that smell.
That's what's interesting because don't get me wrong, I guarantee there'll be that smell that you may not be attracted to that person, but you may even want to go to that person and what odor is that you have?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is it an odor of a cologne? Is it an odor of a soap? Or is it just a natural odor that you carry yourself with every day?
I think we all just carry that natural odor. Like,
and that's what, you know.
And that's why when we put on perfume, it doesn't smell the same on me as it would on another female.
And that's what's even interesting because absolutely everybody has different body. You know, everyone has that oil in their body. For sure, I know that one smell will not smell the same with me versus me with another guy. So I definitely agree with that whole like, and I know that for sure. One cologne won't smell great on another. So I don't know. I just thought that would be very, very interesting. And another fetish that of course doesn't attract me, but is a fetish for a lot of people, is when you love urinating on each other. Now that one is, and don't get me wrong, that can just be a fetish because people take that sexual and go a whole another way. And we know R. Kelly just loves that. Hey, we're going to put it out there. You know what I mean? But what, again, with even that one, what intrigues people to want to actually do that to each other?
Well, maybe it's a sensation.
Maybe it has to be. The heat.
I don't
But I mean, the person doing it is not experiencing any heat. Right. So what is it that makes them want to actually pee on you?
I don't know.
I'm telling you, fetish gets so much interesting. Even this one, again, I can't say these words, but they get aroused by corpse.
That's necrophilia.
Necrophilia. These are people who around corpses, whether they dig them up, whether they're just working at these kind of centers. But that whole corpse fetish thing, like I said, some of these are just...
I would have to say that one I'm going to be a little judgmental on. I don't think you should.
I think you should leave the dead dead.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They died. They lived their life. Leave them in peace. You know what I mean? I do not think they want you to give them extracurricular activities while they don't know or can't acknowledge it.
I may be very open-minded, but that one...
I am open-minded, but when it comes to that, the last thing, and you know what it is? The last thing, I mean, and, you know, bless my grandmother who's passed away over 10 years at this point. I just wouldn't want to know in my mind that someone actually had a fetish enough to where they desire to do anything with my grandmother.
Right? No.
You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even want to think that. Like,
you don't want to think that someone doing that to you.
I wouldn't even want to think someone's doing that to me. So if that's a fetish of yours, you know what I mean? That's maybe one of those that you definitely may want to keep to yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, we're not judging. You can call and tell us that's your fetish, and I promise I will never judge you. Right. But that's just one of those things that just are interesting. You know what I mean? Even with the whole, another fetish, peeping Toms. That's a fetish. There's people who actually have that desire to spy on others and, go ahead. And we actually have a caller, so that's great. Caller, thank you for calling Gay Guy Straight Girl. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, my name is Malik.
Malik, thank you for calling. And where you're calling from, Malik?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. And that is great. So, Malik, today's conversation is fetishes. Do you have any fetishes or fetish?
Yeah, I have a fetish.
What's your fetish?
I'm a homosexual guy.
Okay.
And I love the smell of a musk of a man. Like, after he's been working all day, I love to smell him when he comes home from work.
So you love like those construction worker smells?
No, not that raunchy. I just love the natural sweat of a guy when he comes home from working.
Just from him moving all day, just from him, doing his daily activities. You just love that smell.
Yes.
That's interesting. Definitely. Was it something that started out like, did you always have this, or was it something that as you experienced dating different guys, it kind of just grew on you?
Mm-hmm.
It's experience and time from dating different guys and different guys that didn't like work, or it's the pretty boys that you don't want to deal with. So just the smell of a man and his natural musk and a man working, that's what turns me on about a man.
That is very interesting.
Let me ask you, when you were single, how
did you handle it?
How did you handle that?
Oh, I'm single now.
Okay,
so how do you handle it? Did you just go around smelling guys?
No, I mean, just guys I would deal with, naturally I would just want to smell them after they get off work or whatever.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not something I would ask them. I would just sneak up on them and do it.
Okay.
So you do have to sneak. So were you did you ever communicate to your, partner that this is a fetish that you had, or was it just something you kind of kept to yourself and you just kind of smelled them every now and then?
Right.
I just keep it kind of to myself and just sneak up on them every now and then and, just catch him right before he gets in the shower.
And have they ever noticed?
Take that little sniff.
Like on their own without you saying anything?
Would it have been...
No, because I'm a very affectionate person anyway, so...
So they just felt like it could have been affection.
Yes.
Now, what did you ever have the desire to possibly even tell a person that you had a fetish? Like that fetish?
I don't want to draw that much attention to it because I feel like it'll be forced.
Right.
And when it's just natural, that's when it just flows.
Got it. Well, that's
awesome. When it turns me on the most.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for, expressing your fetish with us. Right. We really appreciate that. And make sure, Malik, you just keep tuning in every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30, okay?
Thank you for calling.
Thank you for giving us a
call.
Great
insight.
And it's interesting because keep going down these fetish and these fetishes. There's that one that we even know. We personally both know this one person who has fetishes on hair. One of our friends. That's actually
what I was going to bring up when he brought up the smell.
The smell
thing. We know someone who is always smelling someone's hair, even a stranger that they're
literally
meeting for
they will go
time.
up to them, and it's crazy because we will be in a restaurant. I would bring one of my girlfriends, and they'll be like, "Can I smell your hair?" And literally he'll be like, "Can I smell your hair?" before she even says yes or no. You know what I mean? And he doesn't even allow them to even answer.
Right.
The same person has another fetish on bacon. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is a fetish guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's and that's what I never got to even ask him. But my question is like, what actually?
It would be good to ask him. The thing is, I like because I know this person. The way I react now is that whenever I see him, I'm like, "Oh my God, does my hair smell good?"
Right. And that's I have noticed that. You can ask him because he's going to be honest.
Exactly right. Like
he smelled all different kind of hairs, good, bad. I don't know if he expresses to these women if they're bad, because I know I will. Right. But he may not. He'll just probably keep smelling it because it's just one of his fetishes.
And that's the thing. He never says anything about it. It's very subtle.
It's very
not
subtle.
Like in your face or whatever, but you know it's happening and you kind of just wonder, did he like it? Did he not like it?
Right. And it's so funny because you're right. Actually, I do remember when it comes to females, he's not going to tell him whether their hair smells good or not. It's just going to be a fetish for him.
He just does it and just keeps it moving.
It's hilarious. So, what about those fetishes where people just love bugs crawling all over them? You know what I mean? They love putting that bug on them and just love that feeling of that bug just kind of.
I can kind of get it. I mean, because like how awesome is it when you're being touched and that soft sensation like going up your skin? It's just different when you know it's actually a bug.
That's
you know what I mean?
Right. I would be scared. I immediately see a mosquito. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm over there screaming, trying to kill it, trying to get it off. So I can't even imagine someone intentionally placing a bug on me and allowing it to crawl on me.
I get it on the sense of sensation.
Right.
Because, you know, it's a sense of touch, you know?
Right.
So I get it on that sense. I just don't get it with it because it's visual. At some point, it's visual. So you actually have to see the bugs crawling on you, and that's when you should get freaked out.
Right. Hey, you know what? Sitting here bug crawling, talking about all these fetishes. You know, if there's actually one fetish that I can say I have is I have something about seeing guys in underwears. It's so weird. I love seeing my partner in his underwear. And we're going to get back to that, but I'm going to take this one call. Call, thank you for calling Gay Guy Straight Girl. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Tyson, calling from Lakewood.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Tyson.
Tyson. And Tyson, where are you calling from?
Lakewood.
Lakewood. Awesome. Thank you for calling, Tyson. Well, again, today's conversation, we're talking about fetishes, whether good, bad, interesting, or not. Is there any fetishes that you actually have?
Actually, I do. Please don't laugh, but I kind of got a good fetish of women with heels. Turns me on, and I kind of like to lick heels.
Lick heel. Oh. Interesting. I didn't mean to laugh. That's actually very interesting. Mm-hmm. Is it to the point that you actually have heels at your house so that this way you can desire your fetish? Or do you wait for females to come over to have that opportunity to enjoy that fetish?
I tend to wait till they come over, and when I'm out in public, the first thing I notice is the heels.
Right. Okay.
So women with a nice pair of heels actually tend to turn me on.
And that's interesting because it's funny. It's not funny, but I like the fact that you said that's like one of the first things that I look. You know what I mean? It's forget her hair, forget her face, forget her body. You want to check out her shoes and how awesome her heels are.
Exactly.
That's interesting. And the fact that you love shoes and you're a male, I think just kind of intrigues me even more.
Right. Well, I mean, there's definitely something to say about heels. It makes your foot look better. It makes your legs look better.
Your calves.
But then just the actual shoe itself, it's sexy. Like a heel
I love women in heels. I mean, it's not a fetish, but I love women in heels.
It's why we put ourselves through the torture in the first place. Because they're sexy.
Pain is beauty. Right. Now, I want to ask... Exactly. Hey, I want to ask you something, Tyson. Was this a fetish that you've always had? Or was this a fetish that, again, kind of came about within time?
I would say over years. In the beginning, I really didn't notice it, and then I started noticing at work and social places. The first thing I noticed was a woman's heels. Okay. And it just became pretty much a fetish.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That is awesome. And again, so was it something? I mean,
do you own any heels? That's what I think.
I'd ask him. He said he waits for. Do you own any? Yeah, that's right.
I don't personally own them, but I have a few that's been left behind that I forgot.
Forgot.
So right now they are. So you don't own them, but they're in your possession.
Yes.
Exactly.
That is awesome. Well, Tyson, thank you for.
One more.
I'm so sorry, co-host.
Have you ever wanted to wear a pair of heels?
I haven't gone that far, but I just love it when a woman wears it, and it turns me on, and I actually love taking them off and smelling them and licking them, and things kind of get me riled up from there.
Awesome. Now, I was going to hang out with you, but I got one more thing now. Now, when it comes to shoes, I get it. Shoes outside, you stare at them and all. Is it to the fetish where you rather see nothing on her but shoes, or you rather just kind of see her walking around the house with heels?
I like to see both a little. A woman in the heels is actually sexy.
Right.
But at some point, I have to take them off.
All right. Awesome.
It's like the unveiling.
Take everything off but the shoes. Walk around for 5 more minutes and then we can take off the shoes. I like that. Well, again, Tyson, thank you for giving us a call. Make sure you keep tuning in every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30.
No problem. You guys rock. I love listening to your show.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Well, again, guys, kind of to biggie up with my fetish. I don't know if it's a fetish, I will say, but I will say I've enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's one thing that I've even said to the point I will get home and, I'll be like, baby, take your clothes off. And I don't mean like get naked, just walk around the house with underwear on.
So it's not necessarily to complete an act, but it's just something you like to visually see.
Something I like to visually see.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just kind of another fetish that I was going through. People love visually seeing themselves having sex in the mirror. You know what I mean? That's a fetish.
Think that's a fun one.
I'm not going to lie. That's a fun one. Of course, you got to find the right location and you got to do it right so no one looks off and, you seeing extra stuff you don't want to see.
You have to be very confident to get into that one.
And, those are those freaks that have the mirrors in the ceiling where you go in and you're like, what's that? You just know what's going to happen. And actually, we have another caller, so we're just going to actually take this call. This must be a hot topic. Caller, thank you for calling Gay Guy Straight Girl. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Well, howdy, y'all.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you guys doing?
I'm well. Awesome. What's your name, caller?
Well, my name's Mary Lou, and I'm calling from a little town called Abilene, Texas.
All right, Mary Lou. I love the fact that we just don't stay in Florida. All right, Mary Lou. So, hey, inform me, Mary Lou. Our call is about fetishes. Is there anything that just you have to desire, you have to fetish?
Oh, I gotta have a hairy chest.
Hairy chest. That's actually interesting. What is it that intrigues you about a hairy chest?
It's just so masculine. It's like hugging a big old bear.
Just like holding a big old bear. Now, is it just is it the man with the hair that gets you on, or is it just the hair?
Oh, it's got to be the man too. He got to work out. He's got to look good, but he got to have that hairy chest. I can run my fingers through it.
Oh, now have you always had this fetish even since you were little, or did you kind of grow into it?
Well, my mama liked his hairy chest, and my daddy had the hairiest chest you ever seen, and she said that he was just gorgeous, and I have to say I agree. But when my man has her chest, it's got to be hair. I dated this one man, and he shaved his chest, and first time I saw his shirt up, I broke up with him right then and there.
Right.
So it's a deal breaker.
So it's a deal breaker for you.
It's a deal breaker. If you don't have it, then you can't do it.
I got to run my fingers to it.
All right. And that's awesome because, like we were just talking about that. When it comes to a fetish, what can be a deal breaker? Right. Like, what if he didn't have a hairy chest? Would it just be like, nope, over and done with?
No, it's done.
It's done. That is...
Darling, like I said, my fingers, I got to be able to grab on to something if I'm having some fun.
Awesome. That is interesting. But hey, you know what I mean? Like we said, to each his own. Everyone has to love something. Well, again, thank you for giving us a call. We truly appreciate you giving us your opinion.
Thank you for calling.
And thank you for calling. Make sure you keep tuning in every Wednesday night from 8:30 to 9:30.
Well, I'll do that. Y'all have a great night.
You too. Thank you. Well, again, this seems to be a hot topic. Apparently, everyone has a fetish. One way or another. And that's the thing is, some people may not call it a fetish because they're just saying, oh, that's just something that I like and that I desire. But when you start listening to what a fetish is, they start realizing, well, shit, that is my fetish too.
If you consider it a deal breaker, then at that point you kind of have to consider it a fetish.
I agree. And that's, that's kind of also where I want to ask people who even want to call in and give their opinion. And even if you don't have a fetish, if there was something that you desired, like would you, would that be a deal breaker?
Right.
Would you truly not date this person because of a fetish?
I
What about? I mean, would you?
I have not experienced that, but that's kind of a little sad.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna not date anybody because they don't want to walk around in their underwears. But I'm gonna look at it like, man,
unfulfilled.
I am. That's what I was just gonna say. But I would question it like, why don't you? You know what I mean? Right. And then sometimes you start thinking, well, is it me? Do I like something that everybody else doesn't like? Right. But like I said, everyone has that little niche that's gonna allow them to, turn on, enjoy, make it fun. And that's that whole fetish world can just be taken in so many different ways.
One of the questions that I always wonder is if you're in a relationship,
right,
and you have a fetish and that other person doesn't want to participate in your fetish,
right,
do you go as far as to cheat to fulfill that need?
Fetish? Hey, you're right.
You know, like
would Mary Lou would Mary Lou have, if she would have settled? Let's say she would have settled. You know, would she actually sit there and?
If her man suddenly decided to say, I'm shaving my hair and I'm never growing it ever again because I hate it and I can't.
And she was married. Do you think she would have actually just went ahead and cheated? Because I doubt if you have that commitment, you're gonna just divorce. You know what I mean? But we wish we would have had her. You know what I mean? She might email me and I'm gonna give you that response next week. You know, Mary Lou, would you have actually separated from this person or cheated on this person because you needed to feel that desire? You needed to do this.
Part of who you are, and you've decided that you won't take anything less than that.
Another fetish that I can even think about was, you know, with the whole Pee Wee Herman thing. He loved flashing people. You know what I mean? You guys all remember that. I can't even think about what it's called, but that was the fetish.
Exhibitionism,
where you know they just go around flashing people, and that's a fetish. You know what I mean? They desire to do that. They go in public. You know, they're non-discreet, and all of a sudden, woo! You know what I mean?
It also falls under, you know, couples who like to, you know, have sex in public and have people watching them. That's definitely a
fetish. Have people watching them.
That's a fetish as well, because it's something that, you know, it's a sexual act, but at the same time, it's the fact that someone else has their eyes on you.
Right.
The
one fetish I won't say I dislike, but I know a lot of people like, and licking and pinching nipples.
So that
you know,
goes
some
into
people
sadism and masochism.
Right, of course, but some people are fetish in the sense that they love the nipple. The nipple area.
Nipple precisely,
you know what I mean? The nipple area, they don't, you know, or even on the other side, some people have the fetish where they like it felt on. They squeeze it really hard, bite it, you know, do this other stuff. Hey, I can do that another way. But when it comes to me, don't do that shit to me because
That's exactly the topic. It's sadism and masochism, where you like to give pain, physical or psychological pain.
Right.
And then there's receiving physical and psychological pain. And I think a lot of people, for the most part, are into it on a very light end of it. But then it becomes a serious fetish when it goes into the full hardcore.
You know, there's people who just want it all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or just go to a different level where they like the pain so much, where they cut skin, where they bleed, where they...
Right. And you know that definitely intensifies your fetish. That definitely takes that fetish to the another level. You know what I mean? And yeah, it kind of goes into here. Yeah, sadism, because it's just that whole pain thing can definitely, you know, be one of those things. And even psychological, because that kind of goes with that whole pain thing, whether it be, you know, physical pain or psychological pain. There's actually people who enjoy...
They want to be insulted. They want to be yelled at.
They want to be called names.
Exactly.
That's a fetish. People don't see it. That whole, dominatrix thing can classify as a fetish.
Right.
You love being whipped. You know, you love being hit. You love it. You wouldn't think about it as a fetish. You just think, I just love doing it sexually. No, that's a fetish. You know what I mean? It kind of goes into that deeper level.
It goes into where you're, you know, get the ball and gag, the latex where you're fully covered and you can't see anything, and you're being kind of mistreated, but in a way where it's causing you actual arousal, and you're getting off on this. And some people don't get off any other way but this.
What about when getting off in public? There's people who love on the city bus. You know what I mean? Because we've all heard about it. On the plane, I know personally, but sure enough, a famous person got caught a few years ago pleasing themselves on an airplane. You know what I mean? But those fetishes where you just have to desire yourself, where you have to please yourself in front of people, not just flash, but please yourself. That kind of goes off into that.
It goes into a very dangerous zone there. I remember when I was 13 years old in New York. I lived in Brooklyn, and when you're young, you have to travel, you know, for junior high school, from the age of junior high school and up, by train or by bus. And we're at the train stop, and this guy is just, you know, playing with himself.
Right.
And when you're 13 years old, that's crazy scary.
That's
and
scary. I mean, I'll be traumatized.
Right,
I'll be tormented.
Yeah, it was crazy scary.
I mean, if I saw a 60-year-old playing with himself on the city bus, I would not want to go back on the city bus.
Right.
I want to take a taxi.
Exactly.
You know, and it's interesting. Now, you know, another thing is, you know, a thought for yourself is how, you know, when it comes to fetishes and when it comes to pleasing your partner, do you just do it? You know what I mean? Do you go out and just, how far do you go on pleasing your partner when it comes to a fetish? Do you, you know,
go
ahead.
I think if you love someone, you give it a try.
Right.
You know, if you totally decide that it's not for you.
But what if my fetish was, I love
yourself.
licking, you know, what if my fetish was, babe, I love licking those doorknobs, so I want to go around today and lick every single doorknob in the mall. I mean, are you going to really try that with me?
Absolutely not.
So see, that's the thing is where, you know, where does that borderline come in where you're just like,
where do you draw the line?
That fetish just can be a little too long. You know what I mean? And
what do you try? What don't you do? You know, I think you kind of, when you're presented with something new, you kind of know which way you're leaning towards. You want to automatically say no because it's new, it's foreign, you don't know enough about it. So your inclination is to say no, to be like,
I can understand that.
But think about it.
My whole
see
thing,
how it feels for you. Give it a try and see where it goes.
Because to me, if someone's willing to come up to you and actually express that fetish to you,
they trust you.
They trust you. So don't bring them down. Don't judge them. You know, honestly, because that's the thing you have to understand. When people actually have the courage to actually approach you and speak to you about something. Don't down it. You know what I mean? And this is to anybody who's listening out there. You know what I mean? Because there will be that one time, even after listening today, that friend might come up to you and turn around and be like, you know, hey, I just want to let you know, my fetish is to do. Oh, sorry. You know, I just want to let you know that my fetish is to do this and this. You know what I mean? That's courageous. You know what I mean? Not anybody can express themselves that way. So when someone does actually come up to you to express themselves, whether it be a fetish, whether it be a desire, whether it be an obsession,
whether you agree or you
whether
don't
you disagree.
Agree.
First thing, guys, is don't judge them. You know what I mean? Don't block it either.
Be
respectful. Be open-minded, whether you like it or not. Because that's all I can reiterate, and that's all I express, and we talk about the show.
That's what
open-minded.
Anything. When you're coming out with anything personal, and, like that you consider secretive and very forthcoming of yourself. Don't disrespect someone. Be very open-minded.
And like I said, we all will have our own judgment.
Right.
You know what I mean? We all will portray it and see it as a different way. And even if you want to, you need to then rush home and get it out some kind of way, yell out in the bathroom like, oh my God. But just, honestly, the whole thing is be considerate of the person's feelings and emotion at that point. Because like I said, it is very courageous when someone feels confident enough to actually express something to you that they want to do that. Because, even like, when it comes to people doing certain acts, when it comes to people watching certain things, porn, you know what I mean? That can be a fetish. That can honestly be a fetish. Because there are some people who, whether a fetish, whether addicted, whether not, it's serious. So to me, if someone really comes up to you and wants to talk about that fetish, let them talk about it. Let them get it out. Because I guarantee you, that will bond and build your relationship so much stronger. Because if I told you one day I like licking eyeballs and you judged me, I'm going to punch you in the face.
You're going to lick me in the eyeball.
I'm going to lick you in the eyeball one day. And, that's just how it is. Again, again, the whole thing is what I preach about this show is be yourself.
Be yourself.
Be yourself and be honest. And respect others because that's all you can do. You know what I mean?
And just love them and accept people.
And accept people.
They are accepted.
Because again, we might be here, we might joke around about fetishes, we might, give our own little opinions about it. But for every person who ever called or for every person who ever did anything, we're going to make sure that they understand that fetish. But again, guys, thank you for watching our show tonight. It is very exciting with all the callers that we had, with everybody who gave us a call, with even what we talked about fetish, with the feedback so far. I'm so excited that we're doing this show. So again, guys, thank you for tuning in this Wednesday night from 8:30 to 9:30, and make sure you tune in next week. We love you all.
Thank you. Love you.